Welcome to Farm Charm Chic. I'm Emily. I'm so glad you're here with me today because I have a lot of fun projects planned. In today's episode, I'm digging into my craft stash and I'm making a cute little pumpkin out of these twine rolls. I'm also going to use some of this faux pressed tin from Dollar Tree. I'm going to use a painting technique on there to help that design really pop so it looks like real tin. Then I'm going to show you guys how to make an ear of corn out of these fun wooden beads that I painted all different colors. I'll show you how to string them up on some wire. I even have some faux corn husk here that we're going to add to it to make it look like an authentic ear of corn. Then I'm going to show you guys one of my most popular DIYs. I make these for every season and they always turn out so fun. It's going to be a 3-dimensional sign here that we're going to add all of this fun foliage to. You guys are really going to love how it turns out. I hope you guys stay with me to see all of these projects. If you like crafting, DIYs, dupes, hacks, thrift flips, or just creating in general, I would love if you would consider subscribing. Remember to hit that thumbs up if you like any of today's projects, but let's go make some DIYs. If you guys are anything like me, when you see these packages of these 3 twine rolls at Dollar Tree, I seem to always pick them up or pick them up a couple at a time. I think they're found over close in the automotive section at my Dollar Tree, but anyhow, I have several packages of them. So I thought it would be fun to kind of take them and make a unique spin on a pumpkin here. So I just take 5 of the rolls. You'll have 6 in 2 packages, but you'll just leave 1 to use for crafting projects. I take 5 of them and I'm just trying to see what I want to use for my pumpkin stem. I originally thought a spindle would be really cute, and if I had a thicker wood spindle, I think that's what I probably would use. Instead I end up using a little finial that works really cute. I'll show you what that looks like. But anyhow, be creative what you use for your stem. You could even use a stem off of another pumpkin you might have taken off for a different project. I take some thicker twine. I get this twine at Walmart. It's quite thick, not quite like rope, but thicker than just crafting twine, your normal crafting twine. I wrap it around about 3 times and then just tie it off in a little bow. If you don't want the bow, just tie it in a knot and cut off all of the little ends and everything so that way you don't have the bow there. It would also be fun to embellish this in so many different ways. The creative possibilities are completely endless here with this project. So now I want this little stem here. This is just a finial. This is what I end up using. They come in a package of 3 or 4 of them at Hobby Lobby in their woodpile section. You could also use any type of finial that you could find. Again, be creative with this part. And I did stain it with some antiquing wax to kind of tone down that natural wood color. You could paint it green. You can really do whatever you would like to. This project is so versatile. Now I just had to stuff a little something down in the middle of the pumpkin there to have a surface to glue my finial to. So you could use, depending on how thick your item you're using for your stem is, you may not need to do that. But I just stuffed some, I think it was just like paper that I stuffed down there. I can't recall exactly, but I think it was just some of that paper that they wrap your stuff in at Dollar Tree. I just stuffed that down in there. You can't see it. If you were worried about it, you could definitely put some Spanish moss at the bottom of it to cover it, but you can't see it from the bottom. So just kind of use your best judgment with that. I then take some hot glue and put that down into the center, and I'm just going to hold that finial to make sure that it stands up straight. I just think this turns out so cute. It was so fun to come up with the different ways to embellish it and everything. So I just make sure that that stem is really good and dry there with that hot glue. And then I go around the edge because I want to add a little bit of Spanish moss. I think the Spanish moss adds a good texture to your DIYs. And I also think it looks so fun with the fall DIYs because it looks like the dried kind of vines and stuff from the pumpkin. And it also adds like a little softness around it, so it's not, you don't have such harsh edges. So I just gently place that all around, and then I take this lamb's ear that came from Dollar Tree, and I am just going to snip off a couple of leaves. So you can use whatever kind, if you have some different foliage that you want to use. We always have like leaves left over from different projects we do. I'm sure any crafter knows that. You maybe have a bag with a bunch of different things. Reach into that for this. Find some different things to stick on here. I really liked the look of the gray tones to the greenish gray tones of the lamb's ear with this. I thought it had a really good natural looking tone. I know that's not what pumpkin leaves look like, but again, pumpkins aren't made out of twine rolls either. So we're just using our imagination here. I'm just using some hot glue to stick that down in there. It slips in really easy in between those rolls of twine to get a nice look there. Now in my stash, I had this package of these little sunflowers. They're adorable and they would look so cute on this. And I kind of go back and forth trying to decide if I put them on the pumpkin, if I don't. You'll have to let me know. And I mean, you'll see me in a minute here go back and forth on if I should put it on or not. I ultimately decide not to put it on, but look how cute. I mean, even now I'm looking at it going, it really does look so cute on there. So you can kind of see that you can embellish it any way that you decide. I have this pipberry here, and you can pick this up at Dollar Tree, Walmart, any craft store, Amazon. And I just decided to wrap it around my fingers. I love to give it kind of that corkscrew look. I love the fact that you're going to add a little, like another color on there. So this comes in white, it comes in orange, it comes in all different colors. And the white is just what I happen to have there. So whatever color you want to choose, it's going to bring a different element, a different texture to your piece. And I just love it. And I think it works really well when you're doing fall DIYs to have this, because when you curl it up in that corkscrew shape, it really does look like the pumpkin vines. And I think it's so fun. And it really does have a good place and a good purpose on it. So I just wrap it around that finial there, and you kind of can pull it. It's a wire, so you can stretch it and see how cute it would look even with that sunflower. I still am trying to decide, do I put it on? Don't I put it on? I really had a hard time deciding. Do you guys ever have a hard time deciding, is it going to be too much if I glue it? I don't want to glue it and then hate it. You'll have to let me know down in the comments if you ever struggle with that, but I do all the time. You can see I ultimately decide to leave it. I still think it turns out really, really cute, but you definitely can jazz this up as much as you want, leave it as simple as you want. I thought this way it matched any type of decor. It had a very neutral tone to it, so that way anybody could take this and put it right into their fall decor. But I love coming up with different items to make pumpkins out of that you don't ordinarily see, and I thought it was really fun to take these twine rolls and do a pumpkin out of those. What do you guys think of this one? This is one of those projects that I really didn't know the direction it was going to take. I just kind of went with it as I was going along. But I did want to use one of these little grapevine wreaths. Now this is a 2-pack, and you can use any size, but you can also see down there I have some different, like that little snake from Dollar Tree would be really cute to do this with if you don't happen to have one of these grapevine wreaths. Now I was very carefully taking off the extra grapevine they used to wrap these together so I can use them in another project or use them like as pumpkin vines or something. I just thought that they were really cute, and I always just hang on to stuff like that in a little bag that I can always use for different embellishments. Now I took this pressed tin, it's faux pressed tin from Dollar Tree, and I love this stuff. And I just kind of cut it into the same shape as the wreath there because I'm going to be gluing the wreath on the top of it. I'm going to make a cute little pumpkin out of this, and so I just wanted to make sure that you couldn't see that from behind around the edge, just only in the center of the wreath. Now I'm going to paint this with some pumpkin Waverly chalk paint. I takes like 2 or 3 coats. I believe I did 3 on here, and I did a coat or 2 on the back. Just if you were to see it from the back, you would see the orange color rather than the stark white. So that's up to you if you paint the back of your projects. It's kind of a matter of personal preference, or if you're going to sell them, it always makes them look a little bit more high-end. So I'm just showing you here because every once in a while you have someone say, you never paint the back of your projects. I'm just showing you that sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, but today I did. So now I'm taking some white paint on one of these little chip brushes from Dollar Tree from their craft section. And I'm very lightly, you saw I wiped it off on my paper there. You don't want a whole bunch on your brush because you just want to go over that raised surface of this design to make it really pop. So that's what gives it a look of authenticity. You can really see like that tin, like it's been a piece of tin that you have aged or that has been around a long time, and then you have come back and repurposed it with a craft. So it's kind of fun to see the magic happen with that. Now I'm using some Beacon's glue here instead of some hot glue. Hot glue would work just fine. I just didn't really want to melt the tin. It's not really tin. I keep calling it tin, but you guys know what I mean. This faux tin. I didn't want the hot glue to melt it, so I thought I would give this glue a try. So I will just place this down on here and hold it. You can even use some of those little clamps from Dollar Tree, which ultimately is what I did just to let that glue set a little bit. Or you could just set it like this, walk away for a couple of minutes and let that completely dry. So I'm just showing you the kind of glue that I used here. So if you want to take a screenshot here of that, you can. Just pick it up at any craft store on Amazon. It works really well for doing projects like this. So now I'm just using it to glue on, and hot glue would work for this too, but I'm just using it on this little stem. This was just a stick that I found down at our farm when I was collecting sticks for all sorts of projects. So I just have a little baggie of those, just picked one out. So just head out into your yard, see what you've got, use for a cute little stem. But it looks cute like this, but I really feel that we need to soften that look between the wreath and the stem. So I'm using some Spanish moss. I'll just put a little bit of glue on there. I just use hot glue around the edge of this to put that on, so that way it kind of softens that look. Now I'm just taking some pipberry and wrapping it around a pencil to get a corkscrew shape to it. I love using pipberry. You guys know, if you see me do pumpkins, I feel like I use this all the time in the pumpkins because it looks so cute, and it really does bring that element of the pumpkin vines into it, that you get kind of that curly shape of the vines there. So it's really fun to add that in. So I typically always put it on my pumpkins just because I feel like it really adds that different element of cuteness to it. So again, totally optional. I just use some of this Beacon's glue down sitting in my Spanish moss, and then I just press this in and hold it until it sets. Doesn't take long for that glue to take hold of that, so it dries pretty quick on there. And then you can kind of bend your corkscrews in whatever shape or how long or short you want them. You can kind of pull out to be a little less curly if you want. And then I'm using some lamb's ear. I really do love the lamb's ear look with the pumpkins, that orange color, because I feel like that gray green color and the orange really complement each other well. I do want to point out that I know this is not what pumpkin leaves look like, but I do just like the colors together. So use what you've got in your stash. Use some leaves from Dollar Tree, some fall leaves. Leave the leaves off. Make it your own. It's going to be cute no matter what you do to it. I did just add a little touch more of the Spanish moss at the base of those leaves, so it kind of hides those little stems there and adds a little bit of a layered look to it, which I think were really cute. But overall, I'm loving how this pumpkin turned out. I'm just showing you what the back looks like from there. You could put a little hanger on there if you wanted, so that way you could hang it somewhere. But as a little shelf sitter, I think this turns out darling. You're gonna have to let me know what you guys think of this. Do you like the projects using this pressed tin from Dollar Tree? Are you guys able to find it at your Dollar Tree? I feel like mine has really had a lot of it in stock lately, and I just love the element that it gives, that texture, and it's so fun to paint and have this two-tone look to it. What do you guys think of this project? Let me know down in the comments. I'm really excited about this project because I've been wanting to do it for a while now, and I've just kind of been thinking in my head what the easiest way to possibly do this would be. Now you can see my bag of beads here. This is an old Christmas tree garland that we had. Literally, we had this on my tree growing up, that my mom updated her tree and handed me the garland. And so I took all of these beads. They kind of have a glossy finish to them, but they're perfect to paint over. But you could easily use something like this from Dollar Tree, or some of their beads, or anything you can find. But I just take them and I'm putting them on these little like barbecue skewers, because this is how I'm going to paint them. So use whatever colors of paint you want. I use like a Merlot color, a pumpkin orange, like a corn yellow, and then just some antiquing wax. So those are the 4 colors that I ended up using, but it makes really quick work of going ahead and painting these on these skewers. And then you could see I even just use my heat tool to help dry those. So this is just some wire. It's fencing wire that my husband uses on the farm. So I just kind of steal a roll of it at a time when I feel like I need it for a project. And I end up using 3 pieces of it here. And I kind of wrap these around each other. And I mean, I didn't really know like a super great way to do this, but it ends up working pretty good. I just used some pliers there to kind of clamp it down, so that way they weren't really like, they were kind of fixed together. And then, not paying attention to what color I was grabbing at all, I just went ahead and randomly picked beads to thread onto each of these 6 now you have 6 strands that you can put beads onto. So I just randomly picked colors and put them on there without even looking. In fact, I was talking to my little boy, not even paying attention. So that way you truly do get a random color. And then when you finish, I just bent the little end of that wire up, so that way your beads don't come falling off of there. And I just go around the entire thing here and do the same thing. Takes you really no time at all to thread all of those on. Now I am just taking them all and picking them all up here by the little bit of wire that's left at the top. You can kind of see some of my beads are falling off of there. It's all right, because I think I end up taking some off actually at the end here. because I didn't have enough wire here. So I feel like no matter what you do, like you're going to end up with enough beads. If you fill 4 barbecue skewers of beads there, you're going to totally have enough, even some left over. So you can see here, I think this is where I end up taking some off because I just want to make sure that I have enough wire to wrap together. And again, I got to this point and I didn't really know if you can think of a better way to do this, then go with that. But I just had one of the wires that was a little bit taller than all the rest, and so I took the most beads off of that one, and then I just started to wrap it around the other one. So you'll see kind of how I do that here. To make sure it was tight and I was getting it wrapped as tight as I could, I reached for, you can see I grabbed some pliers here and just grab onto that wire and help use that to go around the rest of them to make sure that it's clamping as close as it can. You just want to make sure that it comes to a point at the top with your wires and that it's not going to, you know, your beads aren't going to fall off or anything there. And if you need to trim any of your beads or anything like that, or sand them so you don't have any sharp edges, I mean, definitely do that. You just want to make sure that, again, your beads aren't going to be coming off of there, and like the natural shape of the corn on the cob, how it comes to a point, that's what I was going for. At this point, I was super excited with how it was looking. I mean, it looks like a real little ear of corn there. I just thought it was so cute. So you could easily leave it like this. You could even take some raffia to tie on the top of it or the end of it or something like that. I guess you'd want to tie it on the end of it. That would be a super easy way. I happen to have, this is faux, like I wanted to call it corn silk, but it's not corn silk, like corn husk, I guess. So this is just, it's kind of like, it looks like real, it feels like real, but honestly when you look at it you can tell it's like a fabric that they've coated with something. But I know I've seen it at the craft stores and even at Walmart, actual corn husks you could get that you could use, so just keep that in mind. But I'm just cutting some of these pieces down and then I'm gluing them together because I want them to go kind of on either side. So I'm just taking the pieces and kind of shaping it how I wanted it shaped to be able to go on my ear of corn. You can see that I'll take it and I kind of match it up with my corn. I mean, look at how, I mean, isn't this coming together so cute? I just think this is so fun. So I kind of decided that I wanted a little bit more than just that one there. And so I have to glue each of these together here. So just using hot glue to do that. And I just kind of play around and have a little bit of fun with it and just kind of go for what feels good, I guess. And you can see here I have another little piece that I've got built up, and so these are going to go on the back of my corn. I'll show you here in just a second how I put all of these together with the ear of corn. Now that I've got a couple of these sections built up the way that I want them, I am just going to glue them together to make one big kind of fan almost. And they have wire at the bottom, so I'm just kind of bending them so that way I can get a really good bond between the two of them. And then I'll put a little bit of glue down on them, and by a little bit I actually put quite a bit here because I wanted to make sure this stuck really well. And you just want to make sure that where you're putting the glue, you're just going to face your beads so that way they stick to that glue, so you can get a really good bond between them, and so this isn't going to come off. But I mean, just looking at this, you guys, I mean, this turns out so darling. I mean, I can't be more pleased with how this turned out. It was kind of one of those projects that I really didn't know what I was doing going into it, but hey, I think it turns out so fun. So there's just a couple of other little pieces here that were left over, and I went ahead and just glued a couple more onto the side just to make it more full. I think that whatever you have to go with, and even if you wanted to skip this step completely, your corn's still going to look really, really cute. There was a couple little extra pieces that were really small and teeny, and so I just rounded off the bottom of them with my scissors, and I'm just going to glue them coming up the bottom of the corn, and that's going to give a nice finished look to the base of the corn. And then I'll take some glue and glue each of those little teeny curlied ones. I mean, that's what they are. They kind of have this curly ends to them. And so I just kind of fold this over. Looks like it has legs right there, doesn't it? But I just put a little dab of glue on each of these and just carefully push them up into the beads. So that way it looks like you've got a little bit more of that husk coming in the front. For kind of piecing this together as I went along and not really knowing what I was doing, I think it turned out really cute. I would be so excited to know if any of you guys tried this or came up with any other hacks to doing it. I think this looks absolutely beautiful, and you really could leave this up all the way through Thanksgiving. I mean, how pretty would this look in a tablescape at Thanksgiving, your Thanksgiving table? What do you guys think of this one? Are you guys on Instagram? If you are, I would love if you would come and find me. I am Farm Charm Chic over there. I'll leave a link down in my description box so you can easily find me. But come and see what I'm working on. I post there quite a bit. I like to show you things that I'm working on or when I have videos ready. It's just another place to stay in touch. So if you do come find me, remember to send me a DM and say hi, because I do love meeting new friends. One of the pieces that I make for every season all year long, I make layered signs, and you have to have your main forefront sign, and I'm just showing you an option from Dollar Tree if you want to use one of those. I happen to have this other cute little pumpkin farmer's market sign I wanted to use, and the back sign I had bought at clearance at Hobby Lobby. Dollar Tree, you can put a couple of signs together to be able to do something like this, but I always on clearance look for bigger sign shapes to be able to do this with. I always need like a bigger square, and I think I paid just over $3 for this, so not much more than if you would buy a couple of Dollar Tree signs. But just, I always have stuff like this in my stash because I love making these signs so much. Now this paper is just some of the sticky wallpaper that you get from Dollar Tree. In my Dollar Tree, it's kind of down the aisle where the stencils are. There's some of that faux tin that you can find, and they have a bunch of different designs of this. It's almost like contact paper, but I think they call it removable wallpaper, but it's like a giant sticker really. So I just wanted to try my best to match up the edges so I didn't have to do any sanding or anything. And then I will just peel back that barrier there between that and this adhesive stuff, and then just gently place that down. You just want to make sure when you're putting it down that you do it slowly, rub as you go so you don't end up with any bubbles or anything like that you have to peel this. I'm just using my X-Acto knife to cut this exactly at the edge there. Now, I've made these signs before using like scrap wood or barn wood. So if you have something that already has a really nice finish to it, that you don't need to come up with something, definitely do that. You could also just use paint. I wanted a little bit of a wood look behind this, but I easily could have just painted the sign with a color and had that be that and be done with it. So I have another piece. This is just a leftover piece of this wallpaper from another project that I'm lining it up with this, so that way I can have the design continue, since my piece was a little bit bigger than just one sheet of the wallpaper. So now you've got your back all the way finished, the backing piece. You just need some styrofoam. And this is just a round piece. There's 2 of them in this package that came from Dollar Tree. If you have some leftover styrofoam or fluorofoam, that will work fine. You just want to be able to pop your front sign out a couple of inches or an inch or so, because we're going to put some florals around it. So you just want that to pop out, and you want it to be styrofoam so that we have something to put your florals into. So I'm just putting a liberal amount of hot glue on this. This particular styrofoam is like more dense than some of the other styrofoam, so it doesn't quite have the same, like the hot glue doesn't melt it as much. Still a little bit, but not quite as it does some of the other styrofoam. So I just make sure that you can't see the edge of this. So I'm just checking that. If I was able to, I would just use my putty knife or something to kind of scrape the edges off, so that way it was flush all the way around. So now I'm going to put some more glue on the back of this, and we're going to glue this onto the sign. And then we have our layered sign all complete and ready to add our florals and embellishment on there. So I do just eyeball this. You can do whatever method to measure. So I just am a big person that eyeballs everything. So do what you want with that. But look at all these beautiful florals that I have here. The majority, if not all of these, came from Dollar Tree. There might be 1 or 2 that didn't. Now I'm just going to show you a little hack. I put this in one of my videos last year and you guys loved it, so I just thought I would pass on the information again. A lot of times when you go to Dollar Tree to pick out florals, they're in the worst condition. Like the leaves are completely so crumpled up that they're almost unusable. And I just want you to know that all you have to do is, if you have a heat tool like this, and you can just pick these up on Amazon, I have one linked in my description box, but you just have to blast the leaves. I set them out like this. Be very careful not to melt the leaves or to burn your fingers, because I mean your heat tool is pretty hot, but just blasting a little bit of the air on it helps to straighten these out like you would not believe. I mean, it is the most amazing hack. I have taken some of the worst leaves from Dollar Tree and done this hack on them, and they turn out beautiful. You would never guess that they were in such a bad shape or bad condition. And it helps sometimes to blast them from each side. You blast them on the front, and then if you turn over and just naturally let it lay on your table and blast the back of it, it helps really well. But I mean, those leaves look great now. I mean, if you saw what they looked like before, they were a crumpled mess, and now they look absolutely beautiful, fresh, and ready to use. So I cut all of my leaves down. I think I end up using 2 full stems of leaves from Dollar Tree with different colors. And actually, now that I'm looking at it, I think I had this as a little like leftover one that I had like a couple stems left on there. So depending on how full you want it, 2 you could probably get by with, 2.5 or 3. It just depends on how full you want it and how big your pieces are. I always get asked about these trimmers. They're Cobalt. I got them at Lowe's, and they're just wire cutters, and they work great for doing your florals and everything. So now I just alternate the colors going all the way around, and I just stick that into the styrofoam. I don't glue them or anything. The styrofoam holds onto these really, really well. If that's something you're worried about, just put a little touch of hot glue on them as you put the flowers into them. But I just work in a circular motion. You're almost building like a wreath around this. And I've actually done it where I have placed a wreath in between. If you don't want to go to all this trouble, that works too. But I love the styrofoam hack with this and being able to add all sorts of different things into it and not having to worry about the wreath pushing your item forward or anything. So you can see I have all of those leaves in there and how beautiful it's starting to look, how full it is. I just think that this show is such a showstopper piece because you don't see these all over. Like I have yet to find these like in actual like stores or anything. This is just something I kind of accidentally came up with some of my Christmas decor a couple of years ago. And I have been putting them in my videos ever since, and you guys love them. So I just decided to use all of the leaves that I had there so I didn't have any left over. Again, make it as full as you want or not. The leaves would be enough. If you wanted to stop right there and not have to add any extra in, you would be just fine to stop because it's beautiful the way it is. I have these berries, however, and so I have 4 of them, so I'll stick 1 on each side of my sign since it's square. And that way, and then this one I believe did come from JoAnns or Hobby Lobby or somewhere like that, and it's just these little yellowish orangish flowers. It just adds a little bit of texture. Dollar Tree has some similar stuff that you could easily use, or some bigger berries or something. Just different textures you want to go with. Different types of the leaves are pretty dense, and then you have like the wispy look of these little florals. Just kind of change up the different textures in your piece and you can't go wrong. I found these pieces at Dollar Tree, these little pumpkins with these cute leaves here. If you can't find those, even just some of like the styrofoam pumpkin scatter that you can get, use some barbecue skewers to put those through the pumpkins, and then stuff the skewers in to have the cute little pumpkin element if that's something that you're wanting to do. And then, I mean, at each step, you really could stop. I just sometimes don't know when to stop. It looks great in the end, but I just want you to know that you don't have to make it as full as mine. But I thought these little flowers would be really cute to brighten it up a little bit with that little bit of yellow color. I have never been trained as a florist or worked a lot with florals other than just in crafting. And so I just do kind of what looks good to my eye or what feels good. Look for pieces of inspiration. If you're having a hard time knowing what pieces in there, look on Pinterest and look up floral arrangements or like fall wreaths. Kind of get an idea of the different types of elements that you want, and then try to match those as best as you can. These are some of these little wheat florals from Dollar Tree, and I didn't feel like I was missing anything until I put these in, and I was like, oh, those really do add like that harvest feel to it. I'm so glad that I had those and decided to put them in, because I feel like that really does just, I mean, I love how this is turning out. I hope you guys like these projects. I have so much fun coming up with different ideas and different ways to make them doable for you, and you can customize them to any season with any type of sign. It's fun to also do like a circular sign on the square shape if you want to. it's just, I'm looking at it right here, looking to make sure that I've got everything that I need in there and everything, and I'm just so happy with how it turns out. But go with what you have, or go into Dollar Tree or to your craft store and just look for some pieces, or if you find a little sign that you want to do something with, and just start building it. This sign had a little hanger on it there that had some little holes in the sign, so I just tied some little twine knots, and I'm just gluing those in so that way it has a finished look, like maybe it's hanging on that sign. And that way you don't have that. Now, another little tip, if you have a heat tool like this, is it's great to get any of your hot glue spider webby things that get all over. It kind of melts those away and just disintegrates those away. So I always blast my project if I've used any hot glue to kind of get those away. But here's the final piece that you have, and I just think this is absolutely stunning. They're beautiful, and it's something that is a unique design. And you guys are going to be so happy with your finished project when you try these. I've had a few of you message me that do craft shows that said you've started to make these for your different seasons and that you sell out of them and that you get very good money for them. And I can believe it because they're beautiful and it's fairly easy to do. So let me know what you guys think of this and let me know if you're going to try it. Thank you for joining with me today and seeing all of these fun fall projects that I have created. I hope that I have inspired you to go start creating some projects of your own. I am so happy with how all of these turned out, and I had so much fun doing them too. It's so fun to get into that creative mode and start making things like pumpkins out of twine rolls and things. I hope that you can take some of this inspiration and go create something beautiful. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'll see you next time, guys. Happy crafting! If you liked the video that you just saw and you want to keep crafting together, here's another video that you might enjoy. And as always, remember to like and subscribe. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.